So we have arrived to the Electrify America charging station here in LaGrange, Illinois. Actually, it's actually considered countryside. There's the Target. You guys might be familiar with this station. This is the station where I first arrived on one of my road trips from LA. And you know, before the light was actually blinking, we're now down to the very, very wire. But we reached here. We're about to charge up. We're about to plug in. Now, I kind of want to make this a bit fun. What do you guys think? Because the Chevrolet Bolt doesn't show you the percentage of the battery that is left, I'm gonna guess that we're down to 2% state of charge. But what do you guys think? We're about to find out as we plug it into the Electrify America station. All right, initializing charging. Guys, I'm actually really dying out here because it's actually 21 degrees, but it feels like 17 degrees Fahrenheit. That's my real name, guys. You're curious. I got 34 cents per kilowatt hour because I have Lyft Gold and Platinum discount plan. So let's see. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Drum roll, please. Wow. You guys can't, not sure if you guys can see that, but we're down to 0%. We have just made it. We have just made it to the Electrify America station. So this is going to be a true 0 to 100% test. I'm going to demonstrate to you guys why it takes forever to charge your Chevrolet Bolt from 0 to 100%, or even like for that the fact you're going all the way to 100%. I'm going to be here for about 2 hours here, guys, I think. But it's ramping up. It's ramping up. We're at 48 kilowatts. Those are good numbers. Deep into the pack, considering how cold it is right now. Literally, my hand is shaking because it is really that cold out there right now. It says 70 minutes to 80%. So that's how long it's going to take. By the way, I chose this site specifically because it is not derated. It's been fixed recently, and I've done this charging here before the other day. Look at that, 1%. We're barely at 1% now. So, anyways, I'm gonna go inside because I am literally shaking. Oof. Whoa! I cannot believe we got here at 0% state of charge. I cannot believe how insane that was. We got here at 0% state of charge. We had nothing left in the battery pack. Maybe there was something left in the reserve. If there is a reserve here, correct me if I'm wrong. But holy shnikes. This is going to be a true 0 to 100% test here. Anyways, I got my dinner. I know it's a bad habit. I'm trying to break it. But there was nothing else open at the moment right now. So, all right. I'm going to turn on the heater because it is really cold out there. And then see what happens. Right now the display says 51 kilowatts. But here in the vehicle it says 48 kilowatts. So, we're about to have a pretty good charging session here. So, and we'll see what the total cost is and everything. And we're going to charge this up to 100% and see how long this takes. I'm guessing 2 hours. All right, we're just here for a halfway point update. We're at 52% state of charge. We've been here for 42 minutes and we have delivered 35 kilowatt hour back into the battery. And right now we're still pulling in roughly around 43 kilowatts. Now, the time between 0% to 52%, I guess that reads 1%, but it says 0. I don't know. We're going to count as 0, by the way. So from 0% to roughly around 22%, we were pulling in between 52 and 53 kilowatts, and then between 25 to, let's just say, around 40%, we were pulling in roughly around 51 to 50 kilowatts. And now we're kind of dipping down a little bit more towards the 43 kilowatts as we're filling in the battery halfway. So it says in the middle right there, 35 minutes left until 80%. So this will probably take us at least another 35 minutes. So that's going to take us 35, 70, looking at hour and 15 minutes total so far just to get to 80%. Now let's see how long it will take to get an additional from 80% to 100%. Also, by the way, guys, the vehicle next to me, that is a Kia Niro. It charges a max of like 77 kilowatt hour. So I've noticed what this guy was doing. So his session actually stopped roughly around 86% state of charge. It says 87. So he ended up just unplugging and replugging back in. There was another car. It was a Ioniq 5. It was trying to charge here, but looks like that screen is actually stuck. My advice, guys, if you see that the screen is stuck, just call customer service. Maybe they can do a reset to the machine. Don't just get frustrated and then leave. Just call customer service, see if they can reset the machine. It's always worth trying. If it doesn't work, hey, at least either go to another station, another install, or just wait until one of us free up. But anyways, I just want to get back to the point about the Kia Niro. You know, if this was during the day and there was a line queue, it's just bad etiquette, because especially like if you already passed 80% state of charge, it's gonna take a much longer time to go from 80% to 100%. But I could just see right now from 86 to 88%, that took them about 4 minutes. So it's gonna take them a lot longer. For me, it's just bad etiquette to hog up the charging station to 100%. If you are doing this during the day and there's a line queue, people are waiting to charge, because people like me, we're down to 1% or 0% state of charge and we need the juice. So if you guys are curious about the Kia Niro, guys, see where he's at. Well, after 32 minutes of replugging in, I think he was at 83 or 84% state of charge. I can't remember. But he's barely at 93% state of charge, charging for 32 minutes because his charging rate has slowed down, and he's only been able to deliver 7 kilowatt hour back into the battery. Again, another demonstration as to why you as the Uber driver is much worth unplugging just after 80%, because time is money. You're spending an extra half hour just to get a little bit of juice back into the battery, just for what, how many miles? 20 miles. In my opinion, if you're going to be spending another 45 minutes just to get to 100%, because it looks like at this rate it's about 45 minutes from where he plugged back in. 45 minutes, you could have gotten like maybe 2 rides that would have been worth $20. Just my opinion. Alright, so I just want to give another update. We just passed 80% state of charge. We are now at 82% state of charge, and we have been here for 82 minutes. That's hour and 20 minutes, guys. And only delivering 57 kilowatt hour back into the battery pack. Our total charging cost at this point right now is about $19.38, but that is with my Lyft ride share discount plan. If you have Electrify America Pass Plus membership, that actually brings it up to just 36 cents per kilowatt hour, or a non-member would be costing them 49 cents or 47 cents per kilowatt hour. I can't remember, but locations may vary. Just double check your pricing structure and everything. And so now we're down bouncing between 25 and 24%. Now I've noticed that, you know, right around 60% state of charge, that's when the kilowatt range was starting to go down. And so right around 65%, we were down to about 35, 34 kilowatts. And so it starts to slowing down. So this is what I mean by the charging curve. The charging curve is when, you know, it's like the charting graph, where, you know, it explains that deeper into the battery pack, you start at the highest peak possible, which was 53 kilowatts here with the Chevrolet Bolt. So let me explain a little bit of what's going on with what was called a charging curve. So with the Chevrolet Bolt, when we first started charging the battery, we were down to 0%. So it gives us the maximum charging rate of 53 kilowatts. This car normally accepts up to 50, but on a good given day, 53 kilowatts, depending on the temperature of your battery itself. But since I've been driving for a good couple hours, a few hours in the car, so the battery itself is already toasty, and the charging station has to be fully functioning. No amp, make sure the amps are like fully working, and so forth. So as we're recharging the battery and it's getting more full into the pack, you know, we're down to that 50%. And then we're once we reach the 50%, then it started to dip down to about 43 kilowatts. But as we got to closer to around 65% state of charge, then it started to dip down to about 35, 34 kilowatts. But now, as I'm reading about between 80 to 83% state of charge, we're now down to 25 kilowatts. So from here, 80% to 100%, it's going to take a much longer time. However, from my understanding, from the previous charging session I had with this, trying to get to 100%, it was consistently between 25 and 24 or even 23. But we'll see what the results is and how much longer it will take for us to get to 100%. So just keep that in mind. It took us 80 minutes to get to 80% state of charge. Well, more like 82% state of charge from 0%. All right, real quick, guys. So it looks like the session kind of stopped on its own. But I'm going to unplug and replug it. Yes, I know I'm actually doing the same thing as the Kia Niro guy is doing, but I'm doing this for the sake of content. I have a reason for this. It's kind of demonstrate you guys what's going on here. So let's just take a tally here. So the charging time, it took 1 hour and 34 minutes. Hour and 34 minutes to get 88% of the battery from 0%. Total energy delivered was 62.353.30 kilowatt hour. And my total session cost $20.40 from 34 cents per kilowatt hour. But like I said, we're going to tally this up. We're going to add whatever time is left over from 88% to 100% onto the hour and 34, and then we'll see the final results. All right, one last update for this Kia Niro, but he's up to like 99% stated charge. He has been here for 74 minutes since he replugged in his vehicle. I really think it's about 84, 85% stated charge. I can't remember. But to wait that long from going from like 83% stated charge to 99% stated charge or 100% at this point for 75 minutes is, in my opinion, this is not worth it. I think he's actually an Uber driver as well. But even as a consumer, well, I mean, at least you're doing this like, at least you're doing this at 12:43 at midnight where nobody else is really around, aside me, of course. But realistically, guys, do you really want to stick around for that long just to get another few miles into your EV? That's why I always suggest when you're doing a DC fast charging to unplug after 80%, maybe 90% at max, because going from 85 to 99% state of charge for 75 minutes, to me, that's just bonkers. All right, guys, I just have to do another update. So I forgot to reconfigure my Chevrolet Bolt. So what's cool about the Bolt is that you can actually set the charging state of charge limit. And I originally set it to 93%, so it kept stopping at 93%. I'm trying to figure out why is it going on. Maybe it's because of the machine programming stuff. And then I realized, oh, that's right, I set it to 93%. So now we're moving back to 94%. So I'm just going to add up I'm going to tally up all the sessions that we've had on all the way up until 100% state of charge, and then we'll let you know what's going on. So this is what I've noticed too. Right after 91% state of charge, we started dipping down to between 20 and 21 kilowatts. I imagine after 95% state of charge, this is going to go much lower. I say about half of where we're at, maybe about 14 or 12. But we'll get the final tally, and then we'll let you know, and I'll give you my final thoughts about I'll give you my thoughts, first of all, on a charging session, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. What you shouldn't do and what my recommendations would be. All right, so we're almost there. We're at 99% state of charge. Since replugging back in at 93% state of charge, we've been here for about 15 minutes. I am actually a little surprised that we're pulling in 12 kilowatts. I thought we would be down to like 4 kilowatts. But yeah, this is looking really good. This should be done momentarily. And then once this is done, then we are going to unplug, and then I'll give you guys the total tally of how many minutes it took and how many energy has been delivered into the battery pack, and also the total cost as well. All right, guys, so the final tally in this charging session from 0% to 100% in the Chevrolet Bolt EUV. $24 with my $24 total literally on the dot $24 with the rideshare discount plan at 34 cents per kilowatt hour. Now again, your location and depending what charging station you're using at, your pricing will vary. Also, the total time it took us to charge here was 121 minutes, which is in translation, that is 2 hours and 1 minute to go from 0% to 100%. Now, think of it this way: if you're spending even if you just charge just for an hour, you could have taken that other hour to be making money at the same time, because you saw how long it took us to get from 0% to 80%. That was roughly around 65-70 minutes. I want to say 65-70 minutes. Now, with my personal car, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, if I were to go from 0% to 80%, that probably would have taken us about 50 minutes or so forth. But still, at the end of the day, if you're gonna be literally charging from 0% to 100% all the time with your Chevrolet Bolt, that's at least 2 hours, and that's if the charging stations are actually working. If the charging stations app were actually derated, this will probably taking you twice as much time. So always keep that in mind for sure. So here's my advice to you guys: if you're gonna rent the Chevrolet Bolt EUV, and don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic car. This is a great city car for sure. My advice is, if you don't have home charging, begin charging once you're down to say about 50 miles left into the battery, and then just charge up to 100%. That way you'll spend no more than an hour DC fast charging your Chevrolet Bolt, so that way you can just be off and running. Also, it's proper and good etiquette to just charge up to an hour, and so move on, so that way other people who has an EV that needs to charge can charge up, rather than just clogging up to 100%. And if each and every one of you guys were to do it, you're literally just jamming and ruining the experience for everybody. That's just my 2 cents right there. Those are my personal thoughts. Sorry if I sound a little negative about it, but to be perfectly honest, it's just been a really frustrating experience, not only for me, but I've had conversations with other EVs, non-Uber driver EVs. They're sharing the same frustration as, just seeing so many Bolts charging on EAs and EV goes to 100%. Guys, best practice to just unplug at 80%, and this is why. That's just my opinion. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna give you my final thoughts overall driving Chevrolet Bolt EUV for Uber. Oh, by the way, guys, just a quick side note. Again, we're getting, the battery pack is supposed to be a max of 247 miles in a single charge and a 65 kilowatt hour battery. But because the temperatures are pretty cold, it is 25 degrees outside, and yes, that is correct. That is 1:11 in the morning. Charging this up for you. So I was actually at 228 or 229 miles in the battery, but now we're down to 226. Quickly going down to 25 because the car is trying to recalculate the efficiency based on the cabin temperature and the temperature outside as well. So the weather takes in a big factor and onto everything. But there you go. If you're curious how much range I have in a single charge, in a single battery, it's about 225 miles. My Mustang Mach-E can do up to 300 on a good day, but it can do probably 260 or 250 on a cold day.